evening, everyone. I'm Russ Fritz.
And I'm Nathan Johns.
We invite you to ride along with us tonight while we're switching grooves. Nathan,
How's everybody? I'm excited tonight. This is gonna be a loaded episode, and I'm super excited to finally cover it.
And we've got a bunch to talk about, man. It's going to be a crazy show, so let's get right into it, man.
So what do you got dirt-wise this week?
We'll start off with the Knoxville Nationals taking place this past Saturday.
I heard there was a bunch of action there. And a few fights, I heard. Was there a fight?
I didn't get any news on that, but
I heard there was Brock Zierfoss and Aaron something.
Excuse me. I try to keep it broad because I know that you've got a lot to talk about with NASCAR.
Oh, yes.
So.
But I want to make sure I touched on those highlights.
So, Kyle Larson wins in a dominant fashion. His third Knoxville Nationals title and his second in a row to make his first back-to-back Knoxville Nationals wins, or championships, I should say. After starting on the pole last year and going on to win the race, after leading the whole thing, Larson and Silva and the entire team have now led 100 laps in Knoxville Nationals.
That's quite impressive.
Feature events. Dude, that is awesome. I mean, that means he led both races from start to finish.
That's crazy. I don't know if you have it in your notes, but I want to give a shout out to Corey Day if you watch this.
Oh, yeah,
I believe you
started
14th. That has to be the most insane thing I've heard of, starting 14th and blowing through the field by halfway. He was in the top 5, I believe, or top 6 by the 25 lap mark and ended up finishing 3rd from 14th, I think it was, which I know you have it in there, but I was still in shock by that. He was absolutely flying. Had that been a 100 lap race, we probably would be talking about a different winner.
So after dominating the entire race, there was a little bit of competition, but nobody could really capitalize on it. You had Darren Pittman, Carson Macedo, Gio Scelzi. They all tried to, charge past him, but they just couldn't capitalize on it. But it was a hell of a race, man. Especially if you're a Larson fan, which we know you're not.
I mean, I won't lie. That was I watched the highlights, and it wasn't like he was in the same zip code as anybody else. I don't like him in NASCAR because I feel like he's a little overrated. But in dirt, I can see his, dominance. Now, granted, his luck is not great when I'm at the track, but I think he's won one race out of the 10 I've been at. And it was a late model race at Sharon, so it's not like I've seen him dominate in a sprint car yet. I've seen the highlights, but never in person.
I'll tell you, nobody could capitalize on any charge they had towards him. Gio Scelzi probably gave it the best shot.
And he won the opening night, I heard.
But ultimately, he wound up second. Corey Day was third after starting 11th.
It was 11th? I thought it was.
Yeah, it was 11th. Carson Macedo comes home fourth, and Anthony Macri rounds out the top 5.
The PA posse in top 5. I like it.
Now, as we know, it's a 50-lap race, and lap 25, there's a caution. We take a break. You can make changes to your car, change tires, whatever you want to do. Now, interestingly enough, at the halfway break, Larson and Silva decided not to change any tires, especially the right rear.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
That's right, and they felt there was no need, and
I did see the muffler thing we were talking about last week. I saw that in the highlights. That was kind of interesting.
I've got some of that coming up too, but Larson did pull out after that break. After he pulled back onto the track, he took one lap and actually ran that right rear tire for a whole lap over top of the cushion. So was that to cool the tire off, warm it up? I mean, But crazily enough, they didn't change any tires. I don't think they really changed anything on the car.
Hmm.
And plenty of other people made tons of changes, and they still couldn't beat him. So that's
Corey Day still I felt like he was faster before the break. I don't know what changes they made, but I do feel like he was moving way faster before the break. I've also gotten a tougher
but
competition, but still.
now the turned up exhaust
Oh boy,
was
here we go.
it actually was not a talking feature. It
Really?
wasn't. It really wasn't. The turned up exhaust was not a talking point at all in the pit
Hmm.
area or around the track, which was oddly enough. But to be honest with you, a lot of people don't realize that this has actually been tried by many different guys in the past.
Okay.
In the 80s, I mean, I have some pictures. I have a slideshow to pull up here, but it's been tried by guys like Lucas Wolf, and even Steve Kinzer tried it. So,
Have they been successful with it's the question.
well, yeah, I don't know. I haven't gone back and watched it. Apparently, it's not loading right now.
We won't worry about it. We'll post them in the comments if we need to.
So, other news: Gateway Dirt Nationals has actually signed a 3-year extension
Ooh.
with the America Center, and that extension obviously will run through the 2027 season. So that's cool.
I've
We
always wanted
all
to go see that.
we all thought it would possibly go away because nobody's really heard anything about it being
Yeah.
extended, and after 2024 nobody knew what was going to be the fate of it. So that's good that it got extended. It's always nice to watch and have something to look forward to on the off season,
Now,
especially
now what we
around here.
really need is the Chicago update.
Yeah,
We
yeah.
need to hear about that one.
Now previously the America Center was actually the home of the St. Louis Rams before they moved to LA, and no other major sports teams really in there. They have used it for UFL games, monster truck shows, concerts, stuff like that, along
I
with the
feel like
Gateway
them
Dirt
returning
Nationals.
is a good thing to St. Louis because other than like the Cardinals and you know the Jazz, or that's the Utah Jazz, but there isn't a whole lot really in St. Louis anymore since the Rams left. At least from what I feel like. So I feel like it's a good thing for them.
So, speaking of St. Louis, did you hear the news about Bristol Motor Speedway hosting the MLB game with St. Louis and the Cincinnati
Yeah,
Reds?
I'm not. I'm not sure I'm on board with it. The way I saw the stand set up, they're basically going to go down to 3 and 4 with the seats. So if you sit, basically against the turn 3 entrance, you can't, you can't see anything. You are so far outside of the foul line that you're going to see the back of the dugout. Excuse me. That's like going to a little league game and sitting behind the dugout. You can't see it. There's no action. You can't really tell. From the way I saw in the rendering, they're going to have, what is it? The backstretch is going to be where home plate is. And you're going to have one foul line headed towards the start finish line. Or maybe I have it backwards. Either way, you're going to be looking at like turn 1 and turn 2 for the base for the home plate. You're going to be looking straight out at the corner, and they're only going to use one end of the track.
Yeah,
I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like, you know, there are other ways you could have done that. Put it centered so you could use, most of the track. But they literally use 3/4 of the infield for the baseball field So one grandstand is just going to be basically covered, but they use the stands the entire way down both sides. So at some point somebody's going to be so far in foul territory that you're just watching the dugout. You're just watching the back
Yeah.
of it. You can't see what's going on. It's like going to a concert and watching it a mile away. It's it's great that they had Kevin Harvick and Chase Elliott as their NASCAR celebrities. Of all people, I don't know why they chose those two because that's the most known rivalry. So I guess it makes sense, but still, that's not what I had in mind. I don't. I'm pretty sure Kevin Harvick is not a St. Louis fan. I know Chase Elliott's an Atlanta Braves fan, but I'm there's a lot of questions there that I'd like to see the game actually be successful before I think
Yeah.
they'd ever come back because this is gonna be a one-off that will hopefully die off because it doesn't look like it's gonna be very good. There's a lot of people online complaining and moaning about it. I'm not against that. I think it needs to be done after this year because it's not going to be a great game. It's going to suck, especially
I
with
think
the way the stadium is.
I think it would be cool to see maybe like the Tennessee Titans play a football game there or something like that. I mean,
See that
they've
I
already
could
hosted
understand.
they've hosted a college game there, I
College
believe
game,
already.
yeah, it was what Tennessee and Alabama, I think.
And here's another interesting thing that's rumors right now. Nobody knows for sure. Nobody's heard anything out of Speedway Motors or whatnot. But there is talk of a roof being put on Bristol.
If they put a roof on Bristol, I feel like it's going to kill the race,
It'll be
and
too
I
loud.
well not
Way
even
too
just
loud.
that. When it comes to the Bristol Night Race, and I will tell you firsthand that I am a huge fan of the Bristol Night Race. I've never been to the day race. When it comes to the night race, the atmosphere is that much more electric with the sun going down and the flyover. If they're going to put a roof on this track, it better be clear because you can't have a flyover at that point unless you're
That
going to
or
have a drone show.
that or retractable.
I If they're going to do it, it better be retractable at the same time. You better figure out how you're going to make it a retractable roof and it still be, you know, a good race. Personally, I don't think it should have a retractable roof because it's
It
going to
shouldn't have
really
one at
hurt.
all.
I don't think it should have one, period. There should be no roof, period. A NASCAR race is a NASCAR race outdoors. We're not racing inside a convention center. We're racing on an outdoor track. I feel like it's going to cause a lot of people who go to the track who have sensitivities to engines being inside, like asthma. It's going to cause a lot of issues. I say keep them outside. We don't have NASCAR races inside, do we? Anywhere?
Not that I know
Go
of.
karting, but at that point, if they put a roof on it, we know exactly where they're going to go, and I'm not okay with that, and I will not support it.
Okay, so I got these slides to load finally. So
Okay, let's see this.
let's check this turned up exhaust out through the years. There's actually some other ones that I mixed in here that have some crazy concoctions for exhaust. I mean, not just turned up, but I'm talking like going up to the wing and back. Here, well, let's check these out. So I mean, it is absolutely crazy what these guys are willing to try. But hey, I mean, if they found something with it, then more power to them, man. I mean, you gotta give them credit. So now here's the thing: do we see a rule against that later in the season, or maybe next year, or immediately?
Possibly.
I don't know, but I mean, no harm, no foul. I mean, everybody can do it if they want to. So it's not like it's adding any danger to the car. But I mean, whatever. We'll see what they come up with. But my last bit of news in World of Outlaws, actually the first team to commit. I mean, this is silly season starting already. The first team to commit next year to 2025 is the 2C Racing Team with driver Cole Macedo behind the wheel next year. And they will be following the entire World of Outlaws tour.
That'll be kind of cool, I think.
And this will be the return to the World of Outlaws full-time tour for 2C Racing since 2021. They followed the series in 2020, and they followed it in 2021 with Wayne Johnson piloting the car. And he earned a Rookie of the Year in 2020. So that was good. I think his best finish out of both years was like sixth or seventh. So not too bad of a year, or not too bad of a run for Wayne Johnson. And the last couple of years, they've actually been, the 2C team has been following the 360 tour. So I forget who their driver is for that, but and the silly season continues. Johnny Gibson was actually tweeting on X, whatever you want to call it. There could actually be up to 5 rookies on tour next year with the World of Outlaws. Isn't that's insane? And rumors are suggesting that World of Outlaws and High Limit could possibly each have 20 full-time teams next year.
That's
and
insane.
That is mind-boggling, because the current tow money and payout system is not even set up for that many.
Is that high or low? Because I feel like that's low for what you would think would be showing up from.
That's actually high for full-time teams. We're talking teams that get paid to follow the series.
Oh no, I mean, that's what I meant, was like that. Like, I don't think we get that many cars normally.
No,
for
that's,
shows
that's
around
high.
here. That's what I meant. Well, yeah, I said it
That's
backwards.
insane. That's absolutely crazy, man.
I feel like we might get 15.
I think
that's what I feel like it is.
At
least out here.
I think the Outlaws and High Limit each started between 10 to 18. I don't remember exactly the number of
usually
each,
they get almost an entire field, or at least for the High Limits. I know we haven't had an Outlaw show in forever here, but I feel like we get maybe almost an entire field of people following the tour. There's a few locals that make the field, but that's normally it's maybe, I'd say maybe about 15 big name teams, but never 20. That's insane.
And see, these are all rumors, though, but nobody even knows who the 5 rookies are supposed to be. Nobody's really said names, or has committed, but names that are being floated around are guys like Danny Sams, Logan McCandless.
Logan McCandless, I can see being in there because I know him.
Emerson Axum, Garrett Williamson, guys like that. But some of those guys have actually said they are not ready yet. So
I can't see. I don't know much about Logan. I've seen him race before. I know he's from Pennsylvania area. I have seen his hauler, so I feel like he would. At the same time, I don't want to, speak for him, but I feel like I don't know if he'd be ready to. I haven't seen him perform high enough, so I don't know. Or enough times, I guess I should say. I feel like he's got the crew, or at least the equipment to go do it. I don't know if they would be ready to do it.
Yeah, the teams are saying they're not ready yet.
So that's
yet. I mean,
it's understandable.
They may be waiting on sponsorship, so they have funding. They may be trying to find crew members. I mean, who knows? Maybe they just feel their driver isn't ready yet to run at that level, because that's such a high level of competition that it's just not even funny.
Yeah.
So
that is interesting.
I do feel the guys that have been listed would be able to compete with it. I think they just need to find the funding now. I mean, especially it
It's
depends on their
understandable.
location. I mean, you got Danny Sands located out of Florida, so it's just insane
Yeah.
how much traveling they have to do. So it's going to be a lot of costs.
And there isn't very many tracks. We've got what Volusia, and that's it. And I don't think the sprint cars run down there for that.
No, East Bay's done with, so
Yeah, and Volusia is the only other one I can think of, but I don't think the sprints run there very often. I usually see the late models, and that's it.
they usually run there at the beginning of the season and when it's colder up here.
Yeah, but that's what I mean is,
So
when I think of the season starting, I think of Volusia and Arizona. You don't really think of sprint cars really running anywhere else that earlier in the year,
and
obviously.
Volusia's actually in Georgia, so
No, it's Florida. Gator
is it?
Nationals.
Oh yeah. Never mind.
See, I ran a go-kart there. I know where it
No,
is. Volusia. With the Gator mascots.
I thought it was in Georgia.
No, 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 no. It's almost to Daytona. I think it's like
Really?
30 minutes outside of Volusia County.
Sure.
Yes, Volusia Speedway. If I have to, I will go look up the
But
town for you.
no, and my last little tidbit would be Corey Day. Now here's an interesting thing, and I think this is awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Corey Day is actually set to make his NASCAR Truck Series debut with Spire Motorsports
Ooh.
after he recently debuted in ARCA at Salem Speedway earlier this year. So that's cool, and he's also set to run ARCA at Bristol in Kansas in September, and that's next
I
month.
feel like that would be cool.
So his Truck Series races are supposed to be uh, at tracks including Bristol, Kansas, Martinville, and Homestead, Miami, and he will probably more than likely, because it's only a part time truck, will be the number 7 truck,
Yeah.
and
I
all
mean,
this
that's
is
where all the
actually
big stars run in also. Is got what Kyle Busch has run that truck. I know Clint
Clint.
Boyer has run that truck. It's usually the star power of the wild card truck.
And you can bet for sure he's going to get the best deal possible because it's all being monitored and managed by Hendrick Motorsports, which he signed a contract with.
That's cool.
So that's going to be cool to see. I'm actually kind of excited to see that, and that's probably one truck race I'll actually watch.
Back to the Volusia thing. It is De Leon Springs, Florida.
All right, you got
Volusia
me.
Speedway Park.
You got me on one. I don't.
See, I've raced at their go-kart track, which is right outside of turn 3 and 4, which I will say is a nifty little track.
Yeah, I just started following that stuff this season, so give me a break.
If you go down to Speed Weeks, they race the same weekend as Speed Weeks in Daytona.
Before we
Fun
before we
fact.
before we got serious about this year, this was like mainly a NASCAR show between me and the previous host.
Hey, I
So
let you get the dirt stuff because I don't follow enough of the outside of the dirt stuff. I don't have enough sources for that
and
one.
I strictly follow the Big Two series because there's just so much dirt out there to follow, and there's
There's a
plenty of
ton.
plenty of local shows around, especially in my area. We've got a few, so there's no point in me following it and taking away viewers from them, which we don't run the same time they do, anyways. But they're covering it, and they have a huge fan base, so I don't need to cover that. So you don't hear a lot of people actually covering High Limit and the World of Outlaws. So
Yes.
so now it's your turn. I took up my half hour.
Well, before we switch over to NASCAR, I do have a fun little update. As some of us know, the new World of Outlaw game is coming out next month in September. And I have seen updates of some of the tracks they will be adding. For once, we are getting a West Coast track. Kern County has been confirmed to be added to the new World of Outlaw game, so that'll be a
West
big
Coast.
deal.
What the hell are you talking about?
Isn't that
Silver
California?
Silver Dollar Speedway's been in the
No,
World
no,
of
no.
Outlaws
The new
games.
World Outlaw game,
I
2024, is currently it's not in the game. None of the West Coast tracks are.
Silver
Silver
Dollar's not in
Dollar
the
is
new game.
not in the new game. Is not in the old game.
Well, the one that just came out a couple years ago.
Yeah,
It's not
the
in
one
there.
that came out 2 years ago. There's nothing. As far as I know, there's nothing west of Knoxville. That's the furthest west they go in licensed tracks that I know of. Because I know they got what Fairbury, Kokomo, but Knoxville is the furthest west that other than Texas. I guess Texas is considered maybe more west, but
And
they have they're adding Kern County and they're adding Millbridge for the micros, which has got me excited. But also they have confirmed that they're also adding 2 new series. They're going to
so
add the
obviously,
410 wingless sprints. So they've got, I forget what series it is. It's the ASA or whatever it is. Wingless 410 sprints will be added to the game, along with micro sprints, which
obviously,
I would assume would be the 600 cc's, but I'm not sure. If they add the 270s, you know where I'll be, because I'll be ready for that. But I
obviously
think,
they'll be adding the micros because they're adding, Millbridge or whatever.
well, actually, the midgets are currently in there also. Midgets
Oh
are
yeah,
already in
that's
the
right.
game, so that would be that reason. But if they add the micros, I would assume they're going to add 600s if they're not, generic 600s. But if they do add the smaller ones, which are essentially the same thing with a smaller motor,
So I
you know
do.
where I'll be. I'll be running those also.
So before we move on, I actually have to make a comment and throw this
Oh
out
boy.
there about what Wes Moore commented on here. We will be doing a triple live with uh, Dirt Routing Nation
Ooh.
and Kyle Pogue of Tribute Speedway, the promoter and owner of Tribute Speedway, which is basically a backyard track in his backyard for the second running of the Colossal. It's a big
Ooh.
backyard show that he runs. He has asked me to come on board as the race director slash flagman, so we'll be doing that in November.
I will have to get the info so I can come out for that.
And just look up Tribute Speedway on Facebook, and you'll be able to find it.
All right.
But yeah, we're excited that that's going to happen. It's pretty neat. I never really thought I'd be involved in something like that, but I appreciate the invite, and I helped out with it last year a little bit, so I'm kind of excited that that's going to happen. So anyway, what is the crap that we have to talk about in NASCAR?
Well, we'll start off with, as everybody has seen, there is the. I don't want to get demonetized for the shenanigans. We'll call it, for lack of being able to use profanity. Um, I'm not sure what went through Austin Dillon's head. I understand that the win in your in was in play. I understand he was desperate to get a
Was
win. Was, but yeah. If anybody hasn't seen the move, go look up.
I have the
NASCAR has a
video.
distinct highlight of the last turn, last lap, and you'll
I
understand what I mean when I describe this. Looks like something you'd see in a NASCAR heat game.
Well, just wait a second here, Nathan, because if people haven't seen
Well,
it,
please pull this up because I was ready to fight after this one because this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen a professional
well,
driver do.
let's keep talking for now. Let me pull up
Um,
where.
but for anybody who hasn't seen, NASCAR does have the video. He more or less was 4 or 5 car lengths back, and Joey was already entering turn 3. And what does Austin Dillon do? He drives in full head of steam, punts Joey, which you'd expect this from somebody playing on an iRacing game or a video game. We're not talking Ross Chastain slinging around the wall at Martinsville. We're talking about somebody who just sent it in there and shipped somebody out of the way. Now, if that wasn't bad enough, he slipped up high and Denny Hamlin went below. So what does he do? He right
All right.
rears Denny Hamlin. So here's the video, right?
Okay. Well, we're gonna start off with the video, so I don't have to sit here and scroll around the whole thing.
Yeah.
But here's okay. Let's start off with the in-car view. I have it pulled up and ready to go. So
I, I have to mute
let's
my mic because I am so livid about this
let's
moment. I'm
let's
glad it
start
was resolved. We'll go with that.
let's start with the in-car view. I have to screen share here real quick. So let me place myself on the spotlight. That way it shows full screen. Now,
Can you get it to pull up?
yeah, it'll pull up. Don't worry. What?
But if you guys can't tell, I am
It's
very passionate about how stupid of a move this is.
all right. Can you see
I
it?
have not yet. At least I can't. I'm gonna pull up Facebook. Let me see. Currently, I cannot. I can only see you on the screen.
So it's supposed to be working.
Either way, he goes into the corner and punts Joey Logano. Denny Hamlin proceeds to try to scoot by. And from the angle of the video that I've seen from the infield, Austin Dillon just turns left and just hooks Denny Hamlin. Like, one guy you just punted, now you get to punt the other one. And, goes across the start-finish line, wins the race, takes a shot from Tyler Reddick, which, quite honestly, I feel like was warranted. Should have spun his ass around. There was no need for that move going into turn 3, coming off turn 4. The first one was outrageous enough. I could see the desperation thing. I still don't think it was okay by any means. I know it was going through his head. I do not think it should have happened ever, especially in a top 3 NASCAR series, let alone the top of the 3. So all this has transpired. Austin Dillon is doing his burnouts on pit road. Joey Logano has now proceeded to get his car righted, go around to the backstretch, and come onto pit road. This is where I see the lapse in judgment on Joey Logano's part. He is pulling down pit road, and the 3 crew is walking out onto pit road to go see Austin Dillon. Now, my opinion on this is NASCAR should have held everybody until the cars were all stopped. It is a hot pit road. Why would you don't let just random fans out on track during pit stops? I see NASCAR as you effed up. That was on you guys and you screwed up. But as Joey is passing or going to come up on the 3 car, they walk out in front of him, and he is still keeping a pretty good pace. Even the car is sideways, he's revving it to keep it, moving. And they have to jump out of the way. Now, granted, I do not think they should have been there in the first place, but at the same time, he was coming pretty fast for people being on pit road. He proceeds to rev the engine up and essentially do a burnout right in front of the 3 crew. Children in arms and everything. NASCAR officials scrambling. I can understand Joey being mad. That is not okay by any means. I could argue on both sides that they shouldn't have been out there. I can also argue that it shouldn't have been done. But in the end, Joey Logano received a $50,000 penalty for his pit road shenanigans. And on top of all of this, Austin Dillon is credited with the win, but will not be eligible for the playoffs, along with his spotter has been suspended for 3 races. And I believe it was a 25-point penalty in the points. So now he's now 32nd in points still, with 25 points less. Way to go, dumbass. I'm sorry, but you have to be the biggest idiot in the world to think that is going to stand. And on top of all of this, NASCAR, when they handed out the penalty, RCR proceeds to post a post saying that they disagree with the punishment and have planned to appeal the punishment. If you guys proceed to file this appeal, you are going to make yourselves look that much dumber than you already look with that move.
Well,
I'm
yeah, because
sorry, but after the moves you guys pulled at Martinsville last year with Sheldon Creed and Austin Hill and the shenanigans that you've been trying to pull with SVG, and you look like a fool in that part. The fact that you've now let this affect your Cup Series team has got to go. I'm sorry. I know Richard Childress is, getting up there in age, but somebody better take over. If Austin Cendric, or not Austin Cendric, if Austin Dillon does not take over this team, we are about to be running a all-timers race shop because Richard Childress has lost his mind thinking that is a legal and okay move in the sport nowadays. I can understand the winning you're in has diluted a lot of people's minds, but you've just boarded the crazy bus with a one-way ticket to you're out of your freaking mind thinking that should be legal. And, on top of that, somehow we didn't get a 2-race suspension for the right hook to Denny Hamlin. That's what really bothers me the most is they covered the spitting of Joey Logano. They covered Joey Logano's penalty on pit road and the blatant wreck of Joey Logano plus Joey's penalty. Somehow they missed the right hook that Dillon put after the fact to Denny Hamlin before he crossed the start-finish line. Did NASCAR just turn a blind eye to that? We have, what comes to mind offhand is Chase Elliott on Denny Hamlin at Charlotte in the 600. That got him a 2-race penalty because it was under green flag conditions, just like Austin Dillon and Joey Logano with Denny Hamlin. Also, we got Kyle Larson and Bubba Wallace under green flag conditions at speed. Both were right or left front to right rear contact with wall impacts. If that doesn't warrant a 2-race suspension, especially under the conditions that Austin Dillon was in, I don't think it was stiff enough. I really don't. I feel like he should have got a 2-race suspension on top of I think the points were a slap on the wrist. It's not going to matter anyway. I think he should have been suspended for 2 races because that was so severe. You made a mockery of the sport that you race in. Thank goodness that NASCAR had a sense of conscience and fixed this. I don't even care that if they took the win away and it would have given Denny Hamlin the win. The fact that, they let him keep the trophy, they let him keep the purse money, fine with me. They should have suspended him for 2 weeks. There is no question about it.
Okay,
I
well,
to agree with it, but I feel like it's not stiff enough. He needs to be gone for at least 2 weeks after that shenanigans. Come back at Darlington.
Here's my opinion. First of all, I wish for some reason this doesn't want to share the screen
I might
in the
be
video,
able to find it for me.
But all in all, when you watch the in-car video of Joey Logano, Austin Dillon coming up on Joey Logano, he lets off the gas, but he doesn't touch the brake, nothing. And he doesn't just bump him. Everybody's going, oh, he just bumped it. No, he straight out shit plowed Joey Logano and took him out. There's a difference between doing that and giving a guy a bump and run. Okay. Yes, Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano have both pulled these moves, but they haven't just not hit the brake and just shit plow right in the rear of somebody. And then coming out of the corner, yeah, I understand that Denny Hamlin was coming up the track because he's trying to follow the racing line. But if you look at the data, they shared his SMT data, and he was following like the perfect racing line. Like Denny was doing nothing wrong but trying to sneak by and win the race, which he had every right to do. As much as I'm not a Denny Hamlin or Joey Logano fan whatsoever, in this particular instance,
I personally don't prefer either.
Dillon was 110% wrong, and I know I had this out with Andrew at work, but he's like, "Oh, Hamlin came up, ran in the side of him, and then well." But and I cannot find the angle anywhere. I saw it the night that it happened on YouTube, and I can't find it anywhere now. For some damn reason, I can't find it on the internet anywhere. But there was a camera view about 2 or 3 feet on the fence, just above the concrete, and you could see the cars coming at them. It had to have been under the flag stand or not far from the flag stand, but you see the cars coming at them, and you actually see Dylan, he goes a little bit lower so he doesn't hit Logano, but as soon as he notices that Hamlin is next to him, and it fits the timeline, if you actually listen to the audio, it fits the timeline of when his spotter is telling him, "Oh, wreck him." He literally starts to turn. He jerks the wheel left and literally wrecks Denny Hamlin.
You want the onboard correct?
That's what I was looking at, yeah.
I have a short right here. I'm pulling it up. Let's see if I can get it to... it's a short video. It's slow.
But absolutely, he just shit plowed him in the ass. It took him out, and then left sided, or turned left and right sided Hamlin's rear quarter panel, and took him out. And it was just a total crock, man. And that's why.
I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
But yeah, he
I don't know if you're able to see that or not.
Yeah, it showed up online. But he literally just shit plowed right in the ass of him.
I do not agree with the penalty. I feel like it should have been stiffer. But then again, NASCAR did finally make the call of taking away a win after.
Well, they didn't take away a win.
Stupid move.
They took away a playoff.
Well, they took away his playoff. It's basically an encumbered win or whatever they call it.
Do I feel
I'm happy that they brought it back.
Do I feel it was wrong for them to let him keep the win itself? Just as a record, or just to have something on record and keep that. No, I could care less, because NASCAR doesn't have a history of actually DQing and taking a win away, but they do have a history of penalizing people on how they got those wins, which is fine. But the points penalty was not enough, because that's not even enough to take away.
That's 25 points.
It didn't even take away 3/4 of the points that he earned from that win. So that should have been like 100 points.
I don't think it even advanced. He's still 32nd in points. I don't think he moved up at all.
But it should have been 50 points per car that you screwed over to get the win and be in the playoffs, and you're 32nd in points. This is exactly why I bitch and say
here's
here's
the funny thing also.
These playoffs are a joke, and the winning you're in absolutely 100% needs to disappear.
He was the third worst driver. He was 32nd. He is currently scored 31st, 6 points ahead of John Hunter Nemechek because of that. Even with the 25-point reduction, he still passed somebody in points. He's currently only 4 points behind Daniel Hemrick for 30th. So I 100% agree with that. He should not have scored any points. They should have taken away 25 from his total prior to the race. Yes, he gets the trophy and the purse, but no, you don't get the points. You get minus 25. That's shenanigans in my eyes.
I agree. It should have been at least one race suspension and $50,000 per incident, which would have been 2 incidents, and it makes it a $100,000 fine.
I don't even. The fine part I think is okay with where it is, but if NASCAR is going to be consistent, it's 2 races. Chase got 2 races, and I think Bubba actually got 3 because of the speed. Chase only got 1 race. I thought Bubba got at least...
When Bubba hooked Kyle Larson at Kansas, that was only 1 race.
I thought it was 2 for some reason.
Nope, it was only 1.
Huh.
I think he got a big fine too, though.
Yeah. Well, still, if that's the, I thought Chase got at least 2 races because
Yeah, I don't remember what Chase got, but
I thought he got 2, and I thought Bubba got 2 because it brought him back at Homestead, which would have been the previous round. At least
it's
I thought it was. But
I
either way,
cannot. I'm gonna tell you, I'm okay with rubbing each other in the side, putting each other on the wall a little bit, as you're racing
even
close,
even then, that's in the NASCAR rule book
and
that you can't wall somebody,
you
which
could
is funny enough. That's
you
the
know
rule they broke.
and the bump and run stuff like that. That's racing. Especially
Now,
short track racing.
I can understand a bump and run. That was
That
that
was a
should
ship
not be
plow.
a bump and run.
He
That
just
is a ship and run.
he just plowed right through him, dude. He didn't just touch him. I mean, he drove through the guy.
That's when I think of that. I think of a picking the rear wheels up off the ground at a super speedway on a short track. You came from 100 yards back or 100 feet back and just drove through the guy. He, like Joey said on pit road, had Joey not been there, he was hitting the outside wall. That looks almost identical to what Ricky Stenhouse did to Ryan Preece not 2 laps earlier. Well, he hit Preece so hard it broke the front of the car, causing it to go into the outside wall. Had Denny not hit him so hard, or had Dylan, hit him any harder, it would have done the same thing that Preece would have got.
Hang on a second here, Nate. Dan Knopf's. I actually have no idea what you're talking about.
Let me go and look.
I'm not gonna talk about that because I have no idea what's going on, and apparently you're upset with Rich Farmer because you said F Farmer. So, but no, I'm not gonna go there. I try to keep this as professional as possible.
I don't know anything about it either. I'm not from the area, unfortunately.
Yeah, but we try to keep it as professional as possible and not sit here and bash tracks and promoters. As we know, Rich Farmer is promoter of Fremont Speedway. So whatever's going on with the cruising State Street thing, I
can't add to
no
that.
idea.
I'm sorry. I know nothing about it.
No,
I've been to the track once, but that's all I know.
It's just a rolling car show that has gone on for like 7 or 8 years here. So
yeah.
I know what he's talking about when he says canceling the street cruise, and then he said Farmer. I knew exactly what he was talking about.
Here. So, I don't know what's going on.
But no, I'm not to be an ass, but I'm not gonna get into that. That has nothing to do with me. So
other than the chaos
back
that
to
happened
NASCAR.
with Richmond, there was some positive out of this race. I know there was a lot of negative that ended it. But I want to talk about these prime and option tires, which, like Dale Jr. said, I hate the naming. That is the dumbest thing I've heard of.
No, the naming is stupid, but
the way these tires were able to be showcased in this race blew my mind. This was a 180-degree turnaround for what we saw at North Wilkesboro. I can even vouch. I hated the idea of this weeks ago, but prior to this past race, I was not a fan of it. Now, I don't know what they're going to do, but I agree with the decision because that was a crazy amount of speed you could make with these tires, and it did have the fall off. Maybe a little bit more fall off, I think, if that. But let's use this example. Daniel Suarez was a lap down with, I believe, 50 to go. If anybody happened to watch, I believe he finished 6th after being a lap down. He not only unlapped himself he passed Denny Hamlin and Austin Dillon, but he came all the way back around to basically finish 6th. That's like Bill Elliott at Talladega type of driving right there. That is a huge speed difference. I mean, yes, they had a pit stop at the very end, But the fact that he was able to unlap himself and get that far through the field on the option tires definitely speaks volumes to how much faster these tires had. Now, granted, I don't think that they should run them every week like some people want, but
Well, wait a minute.
different combos I think would be good.
Are you talking running the same tire every week, or you mean running the two different options every race?
That the option tire every week. I feel like, yes, there should be a combo of yellow and red, but I do not think that should be our new primary tire. Because I don't think, I mean, unless we're only running the option tire on short tracks, I'm weary to see what it would do on other tracks. But if they do make it an option for the entire season, I'm nervous to think about super speedways. I do think the 1.5 miles will be very interesting. I don't know about Atlanta yet, but Charlotte, I feel like would be very interesting. Texas, a little abrasive, but it might be interesting. Darlington, that could be. It's really abrasive, but it could be a strategy thing. I feel like I wouldn't say that this resolves the stage issues, but I feel like it does put more strategy back into NASCAR.
Run that
I
tire.
still think they need to get rid of stages, but that does put a little bit more strategy in play. And I like the thought of that. I would like to think this is a good starting spot and we can go from there. But I'm still on the fence about doing it at other tracks, particular certain tracks, or particular other tracks, I should say. But if we get a comp, I mean, it does make us kind of look like IndyCar, in my mind. But we do have the option of a faster tire and then a, more durable tire. And
I would like to see this same setup between the two tire options ran on a concrete track like Dover.
Dover would be a good option also, or even Bristol.
Bristol, they tried that really soft tire this year, and it's really kind of screwed. I mean, I think there.
They could experiment with that. Like if they can make I wouldn't run the soft tire long. I would give them two options, just like they did at Richmond.
Yeah,
where you can run a certain amount and say you have a short stint to the end of the race.
And the thing at the spring Bristol race, because I was there, I mean, you should have seen the teams scrambling when NASCAR actually said they could get another set of tires or two. I mean, they NASCAR, or not NASCAR, but Goodyear was actually setting them up in rows with each team number on them, so they could come and pick up their set of tires. And I'm gonna tell you what, it was a madhouse, dude. That tire was a little too soft, if you ask me.
Yeah. If they run the same compound at Bristol, like they run whatever they took at Richmond, and they take it to Bristol. If it is not the same compound, I would like to see how it runs. If it is the same compound, they could go with it one of two ways. They could have both tires there. They could, for example, use the red tire for a short shoot to the finish. Or even, say I think they went like 40 laps on a set of tires. I say we have 40 to go. Within 40 laps, teams are going to start taking the red tires. It's going to be almost like a Texas-style shootout. Who's going to take the red tires first? Be too early, you're going to wear your tires out by the end, all the starting and stopping.
Now, here's an interesting scenario.
It's almost a game of chicken, almost.
I say we come up with 2 or maybe even 3 compounds and use them at a road course.
Ooh, well, to be fair, we do technically have 2 already with the rain tires.
No, I'm talking slicks or you know.
I don't know about. I do like the idea of having two compounds like the reds and the yellows at road courses. Um, Not so sure, though, about having a third one. I don't know if they'd want to make it a harder tire or a softer tire than what we had at Richmond. I do think the two tire option at a road course will be a great idea. Even
Especially
if they use it
something.
for, say they use it for, I don't know, Coda. I
Right.
wouldn't, I mean, you could also try to, I would not do it for,
Chicago,
there you
Chicago.
go. Get like almost something DOT level
Let's.
of
But
hardening.
I say let's try it at a place that hasn't been freshly repaved within the last 3 to 5 years.
Yes.
Let's try it at a place like the Glen.
Or even, I do like the Chicago thing. There is a lot of different surfaces with that. You've got if say it rains, the paint is going to be wet. You've got the crosswalks. You've got oil from the cars that drive on it every day. I think that is a great idea. I mean, not even, I wouldn't even say experiment because this is the option year. So I don't know if I would use it as the test ground because that could literally end Chicago.
Well, they can't anyway because Chicago's over with. But
Well, no, but there's the option year
you
for
mean
what I've
next
heard.
year?
Yes.
Yeah, next year's an option year.
I don't know if I was NASCAR, I don't know if I would use that until it was confirmed that there's more years. But, Sonoma will be, an interesting one, although I think they just paved that this year, so I wouldn't go with that. But, say we do run Mexico, say we do run Canadian Tire, say we do go to Bristol, or not Bristol, Brazil. You know, I've heard rumors of all kinds of different tracks. Say we do try a different track and we try a different compound for that track. It's essentially a wild card race because you've got, new tire, new track surface. You know, maybe we use some Brazilian driver if they run in Brazil, and we send them out there and we try, have them try out the track with these new tires. Wouldn't be any of the guys from our series because then it would give them extra time. But maybe NASCAR sends a few sets down to Brazil series and says, "Hey, we're gonna have you try these tires as a test. Tell us what you think of them. You know, if you don't like them, back to the drawing board." But there is options we could do. I'm not so sure. I mean, if we got a really hard tire, harder than what we ran at, or not a better tire for the wet paint on the Chicago Street Course. If we got someone that could handle that, I would be intrigued to see how that would work. Is I know that the paint was wet, or not the paint, the painted pavement was wet for the tires, obviously because they're slicks. And also with the wet tires, it made it kind of hard to, get a grip on them because they're a little too hard. But I could see that working out as having an option tire to be in between being slippery on the wet pavement, but doesn't wear out as hard or as quickly as the wet tires. But it would be interesting to see how that would work. I feel like road courses would be. I want to see how the road courses do with these two before I go too much further with experimenting or adding another set there.
So we are down to our last few minutes, Nathan. I say that we pick that topic up next time,
All right.
and we need to call this one a show, bud.
All right. Well, I guess we got more for next week. Well, because I believe Michigan's next week.
Yep.
I know that Flow Racing Night in America, I believe, is next week at Lernerville. I think that I forget if that's a special race or that's just Flow Racing Night in America. But Lernerville makes their debut, I believe it is next week. So I'm sure we'll have more to talk. Maybe I'll even be able to do a live show from the race. We'll see what happens.
Hey,
So
feel free.
And then I know that we have the High Limit Tour coming. I'm still trying to convince Russ to come out for that race. So
I told you I was.
all right, well then, I guess we're doing a live show from the High Limit race.
I told you need to do request the days off.
I got them put in, so let's go.
All right. I'm
So
looking
you
forward
guys
to that.
heard it here first. High Limit Show. We're doing a Switching Grooves episode from the track. Here we go.
We might not be able to do it inside the track.
Oh, no, we'll do it from outside. I'll set up a table somewhere.
But
we'll figure it
we
out.
could definitely do it from the track, and it's actually a place I have never been before.
Ooh.
So
Well, this will be exciting.
So, hey.
All right. So, well, with Switching Grooves, I'm Nathan Johns.
And I'm Russ Fritz saying, race hard, stay safe, and until next time, we'll see you.
We'll see you next time. Bye, guys.